every game plan, there's going to be something go wrong. And having the ability to adapt and pivot when that happens is the key. It's just us.
It's just us.
I mean, this is a unique pod, man.
It is. Have you heard of the audience effect? Where like you act differently when you know somebody's around? Like, I wonder if we're going to act different now that we know Roddy's not.
It's just us.
It's just us.
I know, it's sad without Roddy. It looks so lonely over there.
Should I bring us in?
Bring us in. I love when you bring us in.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the No Days Off pod, where we are building a community of unstoppable dads. Today, we're doing something a little different. I think we're going to call it a mini pod. Maybe a mini episode.
Mini episode. I love it. We'll see if it really is mini. Every time we say miniature and short and condensed, it ends up still going like 45.
That's true.
And even the pre-talk, just talking about life, it was so good that we were like, let's just start the podcast and see where it goes.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, we've had some adversity with the No Days Off pod team.
We have.
Yeah, I mean, first off, it's usually John and I up here, and Pat's our guest that comes in on Riverside, co-founder of Dad Season, and then our boy Rod on the tools.
We're still motioning to him.
He's not
He's
here.
here in spirit.
But we've been praying for him.
Yep.
Why don't you share with our listeners what's going on with Mr. Rod?
I will. So we're definitely in the dog days of training.
Yeah.
We're about 2 months out from our fight. And our boy Cheeto, who I don't know if you've met him yet, but he's a good friend of ours. He's a UFC fighter. He has his own gym in Costa Mesa. And he's been trying to set up Roddy to train against one of his boys, one of our friends, actually, Sebastian. This guy's a black belt, super tough guy. And so Roddy went over there yesterday. They did some hard rounds, a 5-minute round, a 3-minute round, and Roddy ended up getting what we think is a fracture in his orbital.
Yeah.
So he blew his nose and his eye just kind of inflated. So now the reason he's not here is not because he's like in the ER or something. He went to go visit his girlfriend, but
oh geez, see, this is news to me.
Yeah, he was gonna fly. He ended up driving so that the sinus.
Hey, that's good for you, Rod. Hey, if she's listening to the pod, that's just that's commitment right there.
That's commitment.
Yeah, I was thinking it was just he's resting his eye, but yeah, his eyes. Yeah,
had to save some stuff for the pod.
Yeah, save it for the pod.
He's in good spirits. Like when it comes to the end of the day, like the fight is a great challenge, right? But Roddy and I are not defined by this fight. We like the physical challenge. We like the mental challenge, which is almost a mental challenge more than anything. But when something like that happens that's serious, it could have been a lot worse. You kind of take stock of like what you're doing and be like, look, does he need to fight? He still wants to.
Yeah.
But he's going to be out for a little bit. We'll have him give us a proper update when he gets in.
Yeah, we'll let the listeners comment. And I forgot to ask you, did you take a Zen?
I did. I got a Zen in.
I'm just making sure.
Yeah,
we have a tradition here. To get I got one.
All right.
Just making sure we're on the same boat, get the mind going. Yeah, that's a little bit of adversity. And, how are you doing? How's your body as you drink your
As
kombucha?
I drink my kombucha. The bod, it's been rough. I'm not going to lie. My neck went pretty much fully out, had a rib out for about a week. Dr. G helped put me back together. Shout out Dr. G.
I was just at Dr. G's right before this.
Yeah, and we'll get into why.
Yeah. We will get into why.
And then I think my body just gave out. I'd been out running the kids' sicknesses all winter. Everybody's been sick on top of sick. And then finally when my neck went out, my body just kind of gave way. And then I was like bedridden for like 3 days, which is what the doctor said was a cough, like you have a cold.
Yeah.
But it was so gnarly. I just could not even get the strength to get up, and how do you do that with kids running around and going crazy? And then our nanny on top of that got pancreatitis. So Danielle had to work and I was like, all right, I guess I'm full dad duty even though I'm sick. So you just push through.
How's the nanny doing?
Much better.
Good.
Yeah, almost like nothing ever happened. She was
That's
out
good.
for a week and had to recover.
That's good. I'm glad she's doing better. No, I remember Tori and I were with the kids in the alley. This was the day before, or I was leaving for the ski trip, and we were trying to figure out, because kids sleeping, all that stuff, and I knew you were sick, and you were walking with the little one.
Yep.
And just being dad with the No Days Off T-shirt that I want to bring back.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite shirts. That we just had our first official Dad Season year. Brand is a year, and our brand for the year or whatever.
Yeah.
My brain's
Year as a brand.
Year as a brand. There we go. Zen's kicking in.
Yeah, there we go.
And we were talking about the t-shirts, and I'm like, man, that's one of my favorite shirts you were wearing. But yeah, and then
I wore that shirt that day particularly because I was like, I need some motivation today.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, the slogan for the brand is no days off. The pod's no days off, and we talk about it is it's a great slogan. It's something I love. The really, each day you have a new opportunity to live. It's a blessing to live and breathe, and we talk a lot about fatherhood on the pod. We also talk about life and functionality, and I think just, we also talk about rest. I think the biggest thing too is finding that rest as well with being a parent and not being a parent. We talk about being an athlete. Some days, to grow as an athlete and let the muscles recover, the mind, the nervous system recover, you actually need a day off. But a day off and rest and recovery is still not an off day because you're always doing something. But I do think for everyone listening, the slogan being no days off doesn't mean like go, burn out. We were just talking about how I was getting closer to a burnout. Like a week ago. There's a lot when you're starting a company. You're raising a couple kids, transitioning from football to something else, coaching youth sports, traveling. It's been a lot of traveling this year, whether it's to, Philadelphia. I went to Mexico City. I performed one of my best childhood friends' weddings, and all these things are great, but sometimes it's good to find that rest and peace. And it might not be a day. It might just be an hour where you go read a book, or you just sit there in silence, or you go for a walk. I think the best things, and you like it as well as I do, is just going for a walk.
Totally.
I think walks are a life hack that people don't talk about enough. I know our dog Henry, before I came in, was looking at me. He's like, hey man, we're going to go on a walk today. And hopefully, I went on that ski trip and I started skiing a couple years ago, and I love skiing, had a great time skiing, but there are accidents skiing, and I did have a little bit of an accident. I'm very blessed that it wasn't worse. It was honestly like going down the steep part. It wasn't on the steep part. It was on the cat track, and talking to the doctor, a lot of injuries happen on cat tracks because everyone's skis are going straight. So the snow and whatever is straight. And then the way skis are made, he was saying that it can catch one of the grooves and sort of twist the ski, which happened to me in an unexpected area. Ski pops off. I'm on one ski, and then, I got to get down. And I get down, but my right ski grabs in the ground on the inside. It pops off, but as it grabbed, it jarred my knee, and there's an MCL injury. All initial tests show it's partial tear of the MCL, and grade 2 is what it's considered, which isn't bad at all. Not the end of the world. It's just an injury. I've had many injuries. Unfortunately, the knees play long time in the NFL. Knees stay healthy, but very fortunate. Saw a doctor. I'll do an MRI tomorrow. So when this podcast airs, I already have an MRI just to confirm it, but feels good. Already been getting treatment and doing the right things. But it was, before that we were talking about how busy I was and everything. And, when it happened, I knew something happened. I still had to ski down. And then we talk about a little adversity, right? Mm-hmm. And it sort of messes with your head, travel. And then we have the dad season meetings, and, I finally get checked out. But it was one of those things where I was like, God, I get it. Not that he allowed, it happened. Life happens, things happen, injuries happen, but it sort of slowed me down a little bit. It slowed my mind down. I haven't been injured like this since I was playing, and I don't look at it as an injury as like, oh man, it definitely messes with your head just like anything else. But then I always think all right, what's the next steps? How do I attack this thing? How do I attack this injury? And, getting back, Dr. G did some rehab today, did some other things. And, I'm excited about getting this thing healthier. And honestly, I got back and clean shaved, cut my hair, did some maintenance things that, I was turning into Forrest Gump running in the morning. I was, if anyone follows me on social media, I was posting my runs and what my workouts were. And it was not only to motivate others, but I see I'm doing a specific running plan, an 80-20 running plan. So 80%, zone 2 heart rate, 20% is the intervals, higher speed where you go. So the philosophy is, on the 80% days, you're going slower. You're not crushing yourself, so you can train. On the hard days, you go balls to the wall and you really push it. It's just a way for consistency. And talking to any endurance athletes, the key is consistency, stacking those bricks, as we say, and not getting injured.
Right.
I didn't account for skiing, but you know what? I'll be back out there skiing. It's not going to faze me. I loved it. I love the adrenaline. I love going down. I love learning something new, a new craft. But with this adversity, I think you can choose two ways to go. You can let the adversity take you and defeat you, and that happens at times. It might hit you for a couple of days, a week, or whatever, but just know the simple thing to look at is, all right, well, this happened. Like example being the knee happened. All right, what's the next steps? All right, the next steps getting it checked. All right, where is it at? Okay, that's, partial tear, whatever it may be. Not the end of the world. There's plenty of worse injuries. Plenty of things happen. And all right, how do we get this better? What's the prognosis? How many weeks? When can I start running? When can I start biking? And it sort of excites me. It's like almost like a reset in the sense of like, I got to build myself back up. I have to slow down. Another thing is coaching youth sports. Like the day after this, I'm out there at T-ball with like a copper fit knee sleeve on. Like I hate knee sleeves. Like I know people wear them. I hate knee sleeves. I just don't want to wear it. But I had to just keep it like tight and keep the inflammation out. And I'm like hobbling around T-ball. So a lot of it too, getting back to healthy so I can coach these youth sports and run around with the kids and line them up correctly and everything. But there's a little bit of adversity on this show.
Yeah.
But adversity is not a bad thing.
No, and I think it's an important conversation. Because, we talked about our day in the life and our morning routines and all that, and they were awesome, like super epic. But it's important to also be honest about when that routine gets thrown off.
Yep.
And I think the beautiful thing about having faith is that internally that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? You were saying that you were teetering on the brink of maybe burnout. You were just going hard.
Yeah.
But everything really does happen for a reason. Sometimes God just puts you on your butt, says, hey, take stock of this, think about it, slow down a little bit.
Yeah, some of the most amazing breakthroughs in my life are when I've been thrown on my butt, tough things that happen, and I just sort of sat there and just said, all right, I slow down. I know for me, my foundation of my life is my faith in Christ, and there's times where I get so busy that it sort of takes a back burner where I'm not spending that intentional time with the Lord. Maybe I'm still reading my Bible devotional or reading the Bible, but I'm not really present with it. My mind is wandering. Maybe I don't finish the scripture I'm reading, and I'm just not intentional with it. And I think that's the biggest thing looking back is like, man, I was doing a lot of great things. I was very busy, different aspects of life, but I needed to slow down and make sure that I focus on the things that matter. So for me, it's really spending the time with the Lord so that I can be the best person I can be each day with flaws. Yep. Not the best person that's perfect, the best person that I can be in my heart for my family, but also with flaws.
That's right.
And to work on those. And then, with an injury, it's like, all right, your body's got to heal. So the leg's going to stiffen up and everything. And, muscles are going to contract. I mean, even my calf shutting down quad, but you know what? I know that's just a process of it, being an athlete. It's part of it. Even learning a new sport, something simple as that. I think the most frustrating thing for me was it was unexpected when it happened. I was crushing the slopes, feeling great, really growing in my skiing ability. Hour left in skiing. For any skier out there, that's like the most dangerous time. Like we're about to hit a flight, and had such an amazing time on this mountain with my buddies, and then that happens. But it's part of life, and I think the biggest thing is don't let it defeat you. Just slow down and say, all right, what's the next step? All right, how do I attack the next step? And then you go do that, and then you just keep moving on. But for me, it's been really good. I got my, I brought my tablet out, and I have my phone. Usually I have my notes on it. But I brought my morning journal because we were going to get into something really specific. You said, let's do a little shorter episode, something that we're being intentional about. I'll let you start out.
Yeah, I think it's good. And I think that's a perfect segue because I think it all trickles down from your mind, right? Like obviously you had a physical pain, but you get to determine what that does to you. You know, is it going to bring you down, or are you going to take the lesson from it, And one of the things that I've been thinking about recently is that you're either A, actively creating the world that you want to live in, or you're B, reacting to the world that you don't want, right?
Yeah.
So one is living with intention, and the other one is just kind of drifting by and letting your emotions rule you. And I think as a dad, that's so important. I mean, as you said, an athlete needs days off, right? You have to rest the body. As a parent, you need days off too, because you have to recover and you have to feel good, but you can't get them. The best you can get maybe on the weekend day is like 15 minutes in your room if your partner's cool with it, and Danielle and I've been trying to do that, and I'm trying to do that for her especially. Like, hey, why don't you just go sit on your phone for like 10 minutes, scroll Instagram, and then come back out, because you get so built up. It gets so much pent up. The kids are going crazy, and before you know it, you're overwhelmed. But another thing I've been focusing on, and I think one of this cool is about this mini episode is we can just dive into something without going too overboard about it. Danielle came home from this Orange County Business Journal meeting, and she started talking about what this presenter said. And this presenter was talking about this concept of mission over self, right? what is your mission and how can you put it over your own particular needs as an individual? When you're on a team sport, you get it. And you have to start to think of your family as a team, so for us, I want to raise great human beings, and if I have to sacrifice a lot for it, if I can't go to the barbecue with my friends, or if I can't work late, give everything I need to my business, what really matters, and that's a clearly defined mission and clearly defined values, which are so important. And I think personally, sometimes I don't take the time to clearly define like what my core pillars as a human are. I do it for business. Sure. Our core values are this, our North Star is to make the world a better place. Yeah. But what is it for me as a human? And that's kind of what I've been reflecting on this week, because this fight has just been gets in my head, man. Like I'm scared, Yeah. But I keep telling myself too, like if I can be 1% braver today than I am scared, just a little bit more brave than I am scared, then I can keep showing up. Yeah. And I can put one foot in front of the other. And if I keep doing that every day, then hopefully I'll feel more confident going into the ring.
No, I think that's so powerful what you're saying. And, being afraid or being scared and having those emotions actually means you're probably trying to attack a task that is pretty large, right? I mean, I think about, I was doing a shoot with Noble. And we had a child actor who did a great job. And, I could tell he was nervous. He found out about the shoot maybe that morning. And it was put together really quickly for the Super Bowl with me and Tom. And I just sort of stopped the shoot. And I was just talking to him. I was like, hey, man, when I was a player and even in life, we're nervous before games. And especially football, there's so many different things. I was never worried about getting hit and all the things that people really probably think about with the sport. I wasn't worried about that. I was worried about me executing for my teammates and then what the other team was going to do and if our protections would pick it up and all these different things. But it sort of gets to you. So my emotions the day before the game is like, you still got time before the game. The night before, I sleep well. If it's a night, say we play Sunday night, I'll try to sleep in. But the emotions start picking up. The nerves start picking up. I mean, on the bus ride, you go down to pregame meal. It's hard for a lot of guys to eat. Yeah. But you got to get something on your stomach. And then you're on the bus, and your nerves are ramping up. You get to the stadium, you start getting stuff situated. Nerves are heightening. You go out for your pre-throwing thing. It's nice to move around, start sweating. And then come back, put your pads on, do the normal warm-up. And there's nerves, there's thoughts, there's all these different things. But it's amazing what happens when that first play is executed, or if you get that first completion or even get hit for the first time, it somehow stabilizes you and eliminates most of the nerves, and then you just play. But it's the build-up to the event that really gets people. I mean, you saw y'all, you also do the Cheeto Vera podcast with Max, who just won the Moab 240, and I just finished his King of Moab documentary. It is a great movie. Congrats to him on winning that. I love watching ultra running sports or following it. Can't really watch it, but they do have great documentaries. And right before the guy wins the race, he grinds through it at just over 100 miles, like doesn't know how he's going to keep running, but just keeps grinding. But before the race, like the nerves he was feeling, everything he was going through, and he's putting himself through this, but to achieve something great, to push himself to something greater. And, at the end, it shows like Cameron Hames, like sends him a message, and it just, everything aligned. His legs came back, like God answered a prayer, all these different things. And then he ends up winning by like a pretty large lead against an amazing runner. And it just shows you that anytime you're going through fear, you're facing it, it's like you said, just get 1% better, take that next step. Yep. And it's amazing when you don't have to win it. You just have to put your best foot forward. At the end of that journey, at the end of that fight, you're going to be really happy you did it, right? You're going to look back and reflect on all the training, all the emotions, and the biggest thing is you're growing as a person. I think that's it. I think, me challenging, like I said, my running goals this year, a couple half marathons, marathon. Don't know if I'll be able to break into the ultra running scene this year because you got to build up, but that's my goals. Am I nervous? You know what? I am, but at the same time, I know if I stack that brick each day and prepare the right way, that's all I can be. I just have to be happy with that. I have to look back. It's the journey. It's the consistency. And then adversity hits. Like I could easily right now be like, oh man, it's just not worth it. It's like now my challenge is, all right, I still want to run like, the OC half marathon. It's going to be more of a training run for me. It always was. And I was going to run 6 to 7 weeks later and try to break my 1:48 time. Well, this puts a little wrinkle in the training program. People want maybe who follow like, oh, he's not posting, he stopped running. Well, it's my knee, but at the same time, start biking, start doing different things, get the knee healthy, and it's another challenge. But I think anyone out there doing anything that's really challenging, that's dealing with the fear or adversity that you're dealing with fighting, and that's a good thing though, because you're putting in the work though. I say if you weren't putting in the work and you showed up to fight, I'd be really scared.
Yeah.
But you're putting in the work.
Yeah, I mean, and I feel like it'd be great if race day, fight night is like a celebration, right? Because you put in the work. I mean, you're still going to scrap.
Yeah.
You're still going to have to dig deep. You're probably going to be more exhausted than you ever were in training, especially on a run if you're going for your race.
Yeah.
But when you put in the work, you have that extra level of confidence.
Yeah.
But like that, Max's doc was so crazy.
Yeah.
Shout out Max, King of Moab. Please watch it.
Watch it. It was a great documentary. You know what?
That moment when he gets his legs and he started crying.
It's epic. It took me, because I've watched it in like different spurts. A lot of times when I'm like cold tubbing my knee or traveling or whatever. It was really great documentary. It was fun to watch. I always love watching the human element. That's why I like the endurance sports. I've said is, you're the one that's battling your own self. And only if you put the training in and have the heart and the will to finish what you've put in front of you. And he did an amazing job. And I know he's been doing the podcast circuit. And I think you said he's in Austin right now with Bear Performance Nutrition doing their athlete week, which is really cool with what they do there. But all that stuff's really motivational. I watch it even being an ex-athlete. I love watching that stuff. I love watching documentaries. I love watching stuff on YouTube that is people doing really tough tasks. And I wonder if those other runners on the trail though, how they deal with all the filmers.
Right.
Because I'm also thinking they're also running, but there's a lot of filmers, a lot of people documenting this.
Also,
now.
how good of a runner must that filmer be?
Yeah, I mean,
they're deep.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they're just like on the side of the road.
Yeah.
Like they get in there. So you could do it. You're fit. You could handle it.
I would love to do it.
We're gonna do it someday.
We're gonna do it.
Yeah, we'll do something epic. But
I was thinking about have you ever seen The Departed with Jack Nicholson and Leonardo DiCaprio?
I haven't watched it.
And Jack Nicholson plays a bad guy, but in the opening scene of The Departed, he says, "I don't want to be a product of my environment. I want my environment to be a product of me."
Yeah.
And I just think that goes back to you either actively creating the world that you want or you're reacting to a world that you don't want. And that's just the importance of your mindset, with being a father, your training, all that stuff. So I don't know. I love this topic because I firmly believe it all starts up here and trickles down. And so this is great.
Yeah. How are you implementing your thoughts from this week that you've been focusing on? Like, what's your plan going forward?
So I think it's a daily practice, right?
Yeah.
Journaling in the morning, kind of getting it all out and just being very open about what I'm feeling in my journal.
Mm-hmm.
And then just taking 1% more, right? If I'm feeling 1% braver, if I do 1% more as a dad, then I just stack those bricks. We say we text each other, stack those bricks multiple times a week because that's what it's all about. Yeah. Just keep stacking bricks, keep showing up. And I know we've talked about fatherhood is not about perfection, right? It's about being present. Yeah. And I think that's the same with everything.
No, it is.
I'm deep in a project right now. I'm editing a 30-minute short film, and it's a grueling process, because you got to cut, you got to rewatch, you got to see if it's flowing. You need to take a step back, you need to show somebody else, get their feedback, and then if it's off, you got to implement it. And it's just man, it's a lot, but just like anything, one brick at a time, and then before you know it, you've got a palatial estate made of bricks. Yeah,
it's we were saying it when we were on this dad season retreat. Pat, Shelby, Tori, and I. It was just a time for us to get away. Shelby said, "It's when life gets out of the group chat," or whatever her slogan was. I'll find it. Nice. It was we were able to get. They're in Florida, we're in California, and we're always developing and growing the company, whether it's apparel, content. We do a lot of the podcasts on the West Coast. Pat and Shelby are working a lot on different content on the East Coast, and just building that community in our local communities and abroad. And I don't know if it was you that said it or who, but don't let good be the enemy of great? Yeah. Is that the saying?
Yeah. Don't let good be the enemy of great. Don't let progress be the enemy of perfect.
Yeah. And there's a lot of times.
Or when perfect be the enemy of progress.
Yeah. When we were looking there and we were going to do a reel of new products or whatever, we're doing, we just released our new golf. This is a sample golf thing that we were messing around with months ago. I just had it on today. But we just came out with our new golf hoodie that's epic, and people are buying it, love it. I love it. We wore it on our trip, and we were just filming a little bit of Pat and I talking about it, and it was all right, we got to retake it. It's no, that was good. Don't let good be the enemy of great. We're not going to be perfect, the key is to show our authentic selves.
Yep.
And, maybe if we wanted like a little different flow or whatever, maybe we retake it. We did 2 takes. And I was like, you know what, that's good. Yep. Like, let's not try to be, it's not going to be perfect. Like, it's like you have a play going into a game. Very seldom is it executed to perfection. There's always like a guy gets free, you shuffle to the right, step up in the pocket, throw. Was it a perfect play? No, but it was still executed. You still got your point across. And I think imperfections is also a beautiful thing. Like, when things are always perfect, like, life is boring. But when there's some imperfections that you see a different angle or you see a different point of view, it's really special. And I think that goes along with like adversity. I really like that slogan. Don't let good be the enemy of great.
Totally.
Just keep putting your best foot forward. I think with training, has every training day been perfect? No, you just said you had injuries, you overcame injuries, but you know what? Then, you adapted. You went to Dr. G. You got your physical therapy. We did a yoga class together. I was like, hey, you're not training today. I said, nah. You hit me. I was like, hey, I'm doing yoga. I was like, I'll be there with you. Yep. I'll do some yoga after I did my run. And you were being smart. You were adapting and pivoting. And, you're sharing that. Today in my journal, I wrote down different things. I was doing this Bible devotional, but then I was like, all right, man, action steps in life. All right. I was like, all right, organization. All right, cool. I think when you're organized, it really helps. I think when life gets a little out of control, we tend to not be organized and we're reacting. We're not sort of, prepared for it. So I put on organization. All right, all right, execution. All right, what you plan? You have a plan. I think of a game plan. Your play sheet's organized. Then you got to execute the plays. So life, plan out your days. Tori and I have a calendar that we share. We try to execute those days to the best of our ability. So a lot of days there's a youth sports practice. Maybe there was a meeting or a doctor's appointment or whatever it may be in everyone's life. So then you try to execute to the best of your ability. Each day, throughout organization and execution, you want to grow 1% better, right? You just said it. I took a bunch of notes. I sort of like this journal thing. Yeah. I have the paper. I've been doing
nice having a physical.
I might switch back. I've been doing it for a few days. It's sort of nice. I don't have any distractions, but I still like using my tablet. But so 1% better. We'll say grow, recover. So to do all that again, you got to recover. And we're just talking about, you and Danielle taking time. I know you and Danielle also have like a pretty solid nighttime routine, whether, you got a cool setup with the sauna and the cold plunge. Yep. And that's just a time once the kids are down for y'all to not only spend time with one another, but also let the body recover. I know sauna at night, there's a lot of benefits, but y'all are both athletic, take care of yourselves, but also both working. Yep. So there's got to be that time to recover so you can do it all again. So those were my 4 things that I just journaled a day. I didn't even know this was going to be on the pod. We just like, hey, life's crazy. Rod's hurt. I just came from physical therapy. You're doing this 30-minute short film. Are we going to be able to do this today? And last second I was like, hey, let's just, we were collaborating. Let's get this episode in. This is raw. This is real. And then so I sort of organize, execute, grow, recover. That sounds great, right?
Yep.
Circle all that. And then next to it, I said, adaptation and being able to pivot, right? Because I think the biggest thing is when every game plan, there's going to be something go wrong. And having the ability to adapt and pivot when that happens is the key to success in life, and also putting your best foot forward and feeling your best. So like I said, with my training, man, I was crushing. I was 3 weeks in the training. I was documenting, I was doing that, but also I was sort of getting a little burnout because of all the different facets of life. All good things, but I wasn't finding that enough rest for myself. Not that I'm getting rest now, but it slowed my brain down like, hey, look at the more important things. So be okay with pivoting and adapting. I think that's the biggest thing in life is you just keep moving. You keep going 1%. 1% better doesn't mean you just got 1% stronger like in the weight room or 1% faster. It just means you really kept moving.
Yep.
I think that's the big thing is just keep moving, keep going. And I think, too, you got to have a great community to do that. I think when you're alone, it's the hardest. I think, when we're building the Dad Season brand, I'm so grateful. When we were with Pat and Shelby, I was just so grateful that we get to do this small business venture that, we put everything back into the company. So like anyone who supports us, like it all goes back into the company for development and apparel. It truly is us creating it. And then, you and Roddy are part of the ride. You're part of the family of the Dad Season family. You say it every day. You're like, I'm team Dad Season because you know our heart and what we're trying to do. And it's to build an awesome brand with hats and apparel and maybe spices. We'll see. Which I love.
Absolutely.
There's between the four to six of us, there's always a lot of crazy ideas that are awesome. It's just, can we execute those right now, or do we need to put them in the back pocket for later? But that's what I love is we have a great team that we get to collaborate and we get to go to work with. Like if this was me in my office today doing a single podcast by myself, I would have been like,
Yeah.
let me punt.
Yeah.
I'll move on.
Totally.
But because I know you were going to be here, I called you up and you're like, I'm at the office. Hey man, you want to do this? Let's do it.
Let's run it.
You know, you gave me the energy and the juice to be like, all right, let's go. I don't know what this will be.
Yeah.
But this will be a real raw podcast. It'll probably be about 32 minutes.
Is that right?
Yeah, we went further than the 20-minute mark, but I think the biggest thing, the takeaway is, you know, when adversity hits, keep moving.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to plan out your days. That's great. I think you should. It helps me. But be ready to pivot and adapt and be okay with that and find energy in that. And then, you know, especially in the parenthood aspect of it all, like at night, try your best. You know, there's resetting the house, there's organizing the kids' clothes, there's doing the dishes, all those things. But try to find that little bit of peace before you go to bed. So you can, and the key is it's for yourself, but it's so you can put your best foot forward for your family. You had said mission over self. So I know we're in that stage of life and we will be forever where, yeah, we've got to take care of ourselves by, you know, whether it's working out, training, recovery, but like we do that for, you know, dad season, we do that for change, for balance, but most importantly, we do that for our family and our community. Absolutely. And, you know, there's probably parents out there listening to this that needed to hear this because they feel alone. It's like, no, you don't, you're not alone. This is a community. This is why we're doing the podcast. That's why we did it accompanied with the apparel brand and the hats is we want to build a community. We want you to know what's going on with us, but we don't want to just sit up here, just complain or whatever. We want to share what's going on and then how we're attacking it to be the best version we can be for our friends and for our family. And, you know, I think that's the key is you're not doing it for yourself. You're doing it for others, but you got to take care of yourself to be the best person.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, there's some great lessons that you learn from surfing. And one of them is that when the wave crashes on you, if you fight it, you will cramp up and you will go down. You have to just surrender and let the wave run through you, and then you rise back up. And that's adaptability. You know, it's not ideal. It's not where you wanted to be. You wanted to rip that wave. You wanted to get barreled. You wanted to do a fat turn, whatever you wanted to do. But you wiped out. What are you going to do now? You know, and you can fight. You can fight against what God's trying to tell you. You can fight against what the universe is throwing at you. Or you could just let it wash over you, get back up, paddle out again. Keep moving, you know? And to your point about imperfections, I think in content, we see this all the time, right? Because Gary Vee is the biggest proponent. One of his sayings is speed over perfection, and authenticity is everything. There's this vase, this Japanese, I think it's Japanese. I'll just say there's this style of art where they take broken vases, broken sculptures, and they piece them back together and they put gold in the cracks. And that's because it's the cracks that make something beautiful. Yeah. You know, and I think this is a great episode because I think we're pretty open and I think we're pretty humble most of the time, but I think we're both in a state where the past couple of weeks have tested us a little bit. They've presented us with some adversity. Of course, life's amazing. Of course, we have so many blessings and so much to be grateful for. But sometimes, you know, you just need to take a step back, take stock, and remind yourself that, you know, you can get lost in the weeds sometimes. No,
you can. I think you try not to, but you take things for granted.
Right.
You know, I was running and doing the things in the morning to get ready early in the morning, like, you know, 5 a.m., waking up at 4:45. I really liked the routine because it was for myself. I got it all done before the kids got up. But now, you know, can't really run, but it's okay.
Yeah.
But how special it would be that first run back. You know, it's not going to be as easy. I'll lose a little bit of training, but I'm not going to take it for granted because it sort of repositioned my focus and my perspective. It's like, wow, like you're fortunate to be able to run. It's a gift and treat it as such. Just like
true.
There's times where, and you know, it's tough as a parent when your kids are young and that's where you know, my kids are 7, 4, and 2. And they're not always, you know, perfect. And that's what I love about them. They're imperfect. And, you know, there's tantrum, there's screaming, there's this, and just the normal things. And it'll drain you. It's hard on the brain. But there's
draining.
There's times where I'll sit in the car, whether it's, you know, Tori picked him up or I picked him up, and I'll look back and, you know, Bodie will be in the car seat, Duke will be in his little seat, and then Lily will be sitting in the middle. And I'll just sit there and look at him and be like, man, I know someday they're going to be older and I'm going to wish I just really soaked this in. And I don't do it all the time. And I think no parent does it all the time because, you know, it's not easy to do it all the time. But I think if we can just somehow get back to that and look at it and be like, man, this is really special. And there's parents that their kids are older, and man, I wish I had another kid. Or we hear that all the time, and I don't think we always take it to heart. Yeah. But anytime something happens in life, you can sort of reflect back. And I think about it in simple little knee thing. It's nothing big. But I'm like, man, there's so many things that I overlook that I just need to really enjoy the moment, as opposed to, I was so busy. I was traveling. I was going to Philly. I was doing this. I was doing really cool things. But slowing down is okay. Yeah. That's when being intentional, doing the little things, and 1% better a day is big. No, but I think that's the episode. I mean,
yeah.
I look back at this journal, and it was perfect for the day. Organize, execute, grow, recover, adapt, mission over self.
Yep.
It's that simple. So this was
good
fun.
takeaway, man.
No,
all right, I'm going to hit it with one quote, even though it's so cheesy, but what you were saying just made me think of it.
Yeah, I love it.
Today I opened 2 gifts. My eyes.
It's good.
Crazy.
That's good.
It's wild. So cheesy, but man, if you have that level of awareness, somebody would kill for our problems. Yeah. And no matter who you are, somebody would kill for your problems. Yeah. So we got a lot to be grateful for, and
I think that's
we
the
just
biggest
keep
thing.
on trucking.
Yeah. Start the day with some gratitude. It's amazing what will happen for the rest of the day. But man, always a joy to talk to you. Look forward to the next time.